Dozens of countries across the globe prepare to roll out coronavirus vaccines. Nigeria farmers score major victory against Dutch oil company. And protesting Indian farmers go on hunger strike as government sticks to its guns. Hello and welcome to TeleSUR. I'm Doris Polo in Quito, Ecuador, and this is from the South. Colombia is set to begin its vaccination campaign against COVID-19 on February 20th after reaching a deal with pharmaceutical companies Moderna and Sinovac Biotech. The government aims to vaccinate at least 1 million people by the end of March and has already secured agreements with several other vaccine-producing companies.
Mass vaccination in Colombia will begin on the 20th of February. The weeks prior to February, we will be sending effective communication. We will be doing pedagogy. We will be doing campaigns. We will have all the logistics with the local health networks. Purchases of vaccine doses have already been completed with the pharmaceutical companies to guarantee vaccination for a target population that we have set in the National Vaccination Plan.
Bolivia has begun its vaccination campaign as well against COVID-19 after the country received 20,000 doses of Russia's Sputnik V vaccine. A 40-year-old nurse from the eastern city of Santa Cruz was the first to receive the jab. After her, dozens of doctors and paramedics received the immunization shot. Apart from the Sputnik vaccine, of which Bolivia bought 5.2 million doses, the government also purchased 5 million doses of the AstraZeneca and Oxford vaccines.
Well, this vaccine has come not like something out of the blue so that we can somehow be much better and feel secure in the activity that we will continue to perform.
It's important to point out that priority is placed on the people who were in COVID units, people who were in the intensive care unit. With the next arrival of vaccines, it will be to complete the whole sector of medical workers.
In Mexico, President Andrés Manuel López Obrador has said that he is recovering well from COVID-19 after testing positive for the virus earlier this week. The president has been receiving treatment at his apartment in the National Palace.
I still have COVID, but the doctors tell me I am getting through the critical stage. I am doing well. Now, I'm here to avoid rumors or miscommunication. I am doing well, but I still need to be resting. I grew myself today to present this message to you. I have not been like this in these past days, but wearing other clothes. I have been working, paying attention to all the public affairs, especially about the pandemic. I spoke with Russian President Vladimir Putin, who expressed solidarity, and he offered to send us vaccines, the Sputnik V, a vaccine they're producing. Those vaccines produced by Russia and are going to arrive shortly. I expect by the end of the following week.
In other news, a fire has broken out at a Santiago hospital in Chile, forcing the evacuations of staff and patients. Dozens of firefighters have rushed to extinguish the blaze that broke out at the San Borja hospital early on Saturday. Authorities have reported no injuries or deaths so far. According to early reports, the fire started on the third floor where intensive care units are located, but officials are yet to determine the cause of the incident. Staying in Chile, social and indigenous movements gathered in the capital's Dignity Square to commemorate the anniversary of the murders of Jorge Luis Mota and Ariel Moreno at the hands of the police. Mota and Moreno were brutally killed while participating in anti-government demonstrations that began in late 2019. Mota lost his life after being run over by a police equestrian court truck, while Moreno was shot in the head. Friday's mobilizations saw strong police repression until the withdrawal of officers at around 7 p.m. local time. A fire has broken out at a Brazilian stadium that hosted World Cup games in 2014. The blaze at Castelão Arena in the northeastern city of Fortaleza has caused damage and left some people suffering from smoke inhalation. According to the fire department, it was apparently sparked by a short circuit in the broadcast area. It wasn't immediately clear how many people needed medical assistance. In Caribbean news, Jamaica's former Prime Minister Bruce Golding is said to be resting at home after being involved in a car accident in Old Harbour, St. Catherine on Friday. In a statement, his daughter, Senator Shireen Golding Campbell, said neither her father nor the occupants of the other vehicle involved in the crash appeared to be injured. She added that her dad appreciated the expressions of concern. The former Prime Minister led the country as head of the Jamaica Labour Party from 2007 to 2011 until he was forced to resign. The Tobago House of Assembly remains at an impasse after the elections on January 25th saw a 6-6 tie between the Progressive Democratic Patriots and Tobago People's National Movement Council. After the swearing in of the 12 assemblymen on Thursday, 2 separate presiding officers were nominated by both parties, resulting in a tie on 2 occasions. With no executive in place now, the Tobago PNM Council wants new elections, while the PDP is taking legal action on Monday. They hope to ask the court's permission for an interpretation of the law and procedures to be followed, with a view to ending the stalemate. We'll take a short break now. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. The African Union has secured an additional 400 million doses of the AstraZeneca coronavirus vaccine from the Serum Institute of India for its members. John Nkengasong, the Continental Body's Director of Health, noted that this is in addition to the 270 million previously secured. The move is part of the bloc's efforts to vaccinate at least 60% of its population by 2022. In an address to the World Economic Forum on Thursday, AU Chair Cyril Ramaphosa accused rich nations of bulk buying vaccines to the detriment of poor nations. Meanwhile, Egypt will receive its first set of AstraZeneca vaccines procured by the government on Sunday. Last week, the health ministry announced it had ordered 20 million doses of the jab. This will be the second immunization shot the country has received. In December, it acquired China's Sinopharm vaccine. Egypt has so far recorded 165,000 COVID-19 cases and more than 9,200 deaths. Now, Algeria has started rolling out COVID-19 vaccines in the city of Blida, where the country's first case was reported in early 2020. Vaccination priority will be given to medical staff dealing with COVID-19 patients, the elderly, and those with chronic or immunity diseases. The North African country received its first batch of vaccines on Friday at the Boufarik military airport west of the capital, Algiers. Locally, COVID-19 cases rose to more than 106,000 on Wednesday, with a death toll of 2,877. In some positive news, global guinea worm cases have significantly declined, a charity organization working in Africa to fight the disease has announced. According to the Carter Center, there are 27 active infections in 6 affected African countries. The drop marks a 50% decline from 2019. Meanwhile, animal infections have dropped by 20%. GWD is a parasitic infection by the guinea worm. A person contracts the disease when they drink water that contains water fleas contaminated with guinea worm larvae. Countries impacted by the illness include South Sudan, Angola, Mali, and Cameroon. It once affected 35 or 3.5 million people a year in 21 countries in Africa and Asia. And former Director of Health Programs at the Carter Center, Dr. Donald Hopkins, has been honored for spearheading the guinea worm disease eradication program. The Bahamas-born medical doctor started the initiative at the Center for Disease Control in 1987 and has spent the last 3 decades working to combat the disease. Dr. Hopkins is currently the special advisor for guinea worm eradication at the center.
President Carter has been irreplaceable.
The fighting between a coalition of rebel groups and government forces in the Central African Republic has displaced more than 200,000 people. According to the UN Refugee Agency, nearly half of the displaced have crossed the border into makeshift refugee camps in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The agency added that the asylum seekers are living in dreadful conditions in camps that do not have running water and other basic necessities. The fighting between the two sides was sparked by a court decision to ban former President Francois Bozize from running in the December 27th polls, in which Faustin Archange Touadera was declared the winner.
There was conflict back home in Bangassou. We had to flee because of that conflict and come and find refuge here.
Moving on, hundreds of Tunisians have marched in the capital, Tunis, to protest against police abuses they say are endangering freedoms won in the 2011 revolution that swept away authoritarian rule. Hundreds of riot police confronted the demonstrators, leading to scuffles. Some protesters threw bottles, while police struck others, or demonstrators rather, with batons. There have been nearly daily protests since mid-January, marking the anniversary of the revolution that sparked uprisings across the region back in 2011, known as the Arab Spring. We're taking one last break. Stay where you are. Welcome back. A court in the Netherlands has ordered oil giant Royal Dutch Shell to compensate Nigerian farmers over oil pollution in the Niger Delta. The judgment brought an end to a 13-year legal battle between Shell and 4 Nigerian farmers who accused it of causing widespread pollution in their villages. The court ruled that the company must pay for the spills and install a new pipeline to prevent further incidents. The amount of damages to be paid will be determined by the court at a later date. The case has dragged on so long that 2 of the farmers have since died.
I agree, it's fantastic news. My clients have been struggling and waiting for this for a very long time, so it's very satisfying that we've reached this point. I do hope that they will actually get some compensation soon, because of course it's taken too long already. It's really very important decision that the court has made to confirm that there is a responsibility for a parent company here in Nigeria, where so many spills have occurred, and the parent company should have taken responsibility and ensure that the leak protection systems are in place. And I think that's a very important signal for Shell and also for other oil companies.
Well, thousands of protesters in Poland have taken to the streets of Warsaw for a 3rd consecutive night after the government implemented a near-total ban on abortion. Protesters have defied coronavirus restrictions and sub-zero temperatures to rally after the controversial judgment was given legal force on Wednesday. The verdict means that all abortions in Poland are now banned except in cases of rape and incest, or when the mother's life or health are considered to be at risk. The ruling found that abortions in cases of fetal abnormalities were incompatible with the Constitution. The government says the ban will halt eugenic abortions, referring to the termination of fetuses diagnosed with Down syndrome. But human rights groups say it will force women to carry non-viable pregnancies.
This verdict of the Constitutional Court means that I do not want to have any more children for the moment in Poland, because I want to have the choice and I do not want to run the risk of having to watch my baby die in excruciating pain or have a stillborn. Women should have the right to decide their own bodies, not the government and certainly not the church.
Staying in Europe, tougher restrictions have been reimposed in the Greek capital Athens after the city recorded a spike in COVID-19 cases. Most retail shops in Athens have been ordered to close, and high schools, which were supposed to open on Monday, have been limited to the first 3 grades, while older students will continue learning through online classes. The country has so far recorded 155,000 confirmed COVID-19 cases and 5,764 deaths. Germany has imposed a partial ban on travelers entering the country from nations where new variants of the coronavirus have spread widely. The new ban affects travelers from Britain, Ireland, Portugal, South Africa and Brazil and will be valid until February 17th.
Since midnight tonight, there is a new coronavirus safety measure. The federal police is under order to check the travel ban on flights from the so-called virus variant areas. These are the 5 countries at present: Britain, Ireland, Portugal, South Africa, and Brazil. We are checking the travel ban, which means no travelers from these countries are allowed to enter Germany.
Speaking of bans, France's Prime Minister Jean Castex has said his government will apply strong punitive measures against individuals that are violating the restrictions put in place to curb the spread of the coronavirus.
Police and joint arms will be mobilized to monitor the non-respect of the curfew, the organization of clandestine parties and illegal opening of restaurants to a great extent. The excesses of a few will not be able to ruin the efforts of all. An instruction of particular firmness will therefore be applied to those who defraud the rules in force. Together we have made our best effort to speed up the vaccination, and tonight nearly 1.5 million French people received their first injection. Our duty is to do everything we can to avoid further confinement, and the next few days will be decisive.
Reporting on our third fire this evening in the United States, a massive blaze has engulfed a northern New Jersey recycling plant. The fire broke out around Friday midnight at the Atlantic Coast Fibers plant in Passaic. Officials have warned that the plant could burn for days. The mayor of Passaic said that there were at least 2 explosions, one involving a truck with gas tanks on it. Now, authorities fear the flames could spread to a nearby chemical factory.
The other concern are pocket fires because of embers and the fire that's actually traveling around the area. So we remind you to please keep your windows closed. But if you see instances of fire in the area, call immediately 911 and let us know. We had difficulty with water pressure, obviously with temperatures, with exhaustion for our firefighters. You can see right behind me how this is continuing to spread right here.
Indian farmers who have been protesting against new agricultural laws have gone on hunger strike. The farmers' leaders said the hunger strike has been timed to coincide with the death anniversary of Indian independence leader Mahatma Gandhi, who was famed for his non-violent resistance to colonial rule. The farmers have also accused the government of unleashing violence against them. Tens of thousands of farmers have been camped on the edge of New Delhi since November, seeking the repeal of laws passed in September that they say will favor large agribusiness and devastate the earnings of many farmers. With that, we've come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram for TeleSUR English. I am Doris Polo. Have a good night.